Hello, everyone. You're welcome to my online mathematics class. We have a question on combination. Look at this question. In this somehow, this question is totally different from the one we solved before because we have two terms here instead of the normal one term. So I have solution here. The question, since the question deals with combination, we have to consider the formula for combination. Combination is given by NCR to be equal to n factorial all over n minus r factorial r factorial. Looking at this, we are going to apply this formula to both the left hand side and the right hand side. By doing that, you are going to have n. See how now we now become n factorial all over n minus 6 factorial 6 factorial for the left hand side, which is now equal to n plus 1 factorial all over n plus 1 minus 5 factorial 5 factorial. We have this. Of course, we know we can simplify so many things because when you are dealing with this combination and permutation of a thing, what you need to do is how to remove the factorial sign. With this factorial sign, we cannot achieve anything. So we need to look for a way to remove all the factorial sign. But before we can do that, let's simplify what we have in this bracket. In this bracket, we have 1 minus 5. And 1 minus 5 will give us minus 4. So we are going to simplify this. Another thing we have to understand is that n factorial means n into n minus 1 into n minus 2. Wherever you are going to stop, there must be a factorial sign. And that is what you have here. So now, when you consider that, we are going to have our n plus 1, n factorial all over n minus 6 factorial. I can write my 6 factorial as 6 factorial. I can write it as 6 times 5 factorial because of this 5 factorial that is here. So that the 5 factorial can cut each other. So here I have 6 times 5 factorial, which is now equal to my n plus 1 all over n minus 4 factorial. Then I have my 5 factorial here. Don't forget there is a factorial here. So what will happen? This 5 factorial will cancel. This 5 factorial. Our n factorial, we are going to simplify that like this. Then we need to also simplify our n plus 1. Our n plus 1 factorial will be equal to n plus 1 into n plus 1 minus 1 factorial. I stop here because I have gotten what is on the other side of the equation. 1 minus 1 will give us 0. So we are left with n factorial, which can cancel out this. So going further now, you have n plus 1 n factorial for this n plus 1 factorial. Then if you simplify this n minus 4 factorial, you are going to have n minus 4 factorial will be equal to n minus 4 into n minus 4 minus 1 into n minus 4 minus 2 factorial. If you simplify this one further, you are going to have n minus 4 into n minus 4 minus 1 will give us minus 5 into n minus 6 factorial. That means if I substitute all this If I substitute all this, as in for the right hand side, I'm safe. I'm still going to write what I have here. I'm going to have n factorial all over 6 into n minus 6 factorial is now equal to my n plus 1 bracket factorial now will now be equal to n plus 1 n factorial all over. Look at my n minus 4 factorial. That one is now simplified to n minus 4, n minus 5, n minus 6 factorial. So we have n minus 4, n minus 5, n minus 6 factorial. Looking at this, you will notice that any item that is here and also here, they will cancel out. Looking at this side now, I have my n factorial here. This one will cancel. We are left with 1. I also have bracket n minus 6 bracket factorial and bracket n minus 6 bracket factorial here too. So the two of them will also cancel out. So from there, I'll be left with 1 all over 6 is equal to n plus 1 all over n minus 4, n minus 5. So from here, I can now cross multiply. As you can see, on the left hand side, we have a fraction. On the right hand side too, we have a fraction. So we can now cross multiply. If you cross multiply, you have something like this. That means I'm going to have n minus 4 into n minus 5 is now equal. That one will multiply the one here. So the one will have no effect on it. So this one will now multiply this. We are going to have 6 into n plus 1. So I can now expand the bracket. If I expand the first bracket, will multiply the second bracket. That means I'm going to have n times n. That will give me n squared minus 5n minus 4n. Minus times minus is plus. 4 times 5 is 20. Is now equal to 6 times n, 6n, plus 6 times 1, 6. I can now move everything to this side. Of course, the way I'm looking at this equation is going to give us a quadratic equation. So we are going to have n squared minus 5n minus 4n minus 4n. This one will come here minus 6n plus 20 minus 6 is equal to 0. That means we are now going to have n squared minus 5 minus 4n will give us minus 9n. Minus 9n minus 6n will give us minus 15n. So we have minus 15n. Then 20 minus 6 will give us plus 14 is equal to 0. We now have a quadratic equation. And we must find the value of n. And note, if you are dealing with this kind of an equation, your n value must not be negative. If your n value is negative, you are going to ignore the negative answer and go with the positive answer. As you see, this is a quadratic equation. So at the end of the day, we are going to arrive at two answers. If both of them are positive, we go with the two. But if one is positive and the other is negative, we throw away the one that is negative and consider the one that is positive. That means we are going to have, by simplifying this now, we are going to look for two numbers that you multiply together to give us plus 14. And these two numbers, when you add them together, it will give you minus 14, minus 15n. These two numbers now, when you look at it, if I have 14 and 1, which one is positive, which one is negative? I can put minus here, minus here. Minus 14. 14 times 1 will give us 14. But minus 14 times minus 1. Minus times minus will give us plus. And 14 times 1 will give us. So we have this. Then when you add it together, minus 14 minus 1 will surely give us minus 15. That means I will now replace this one at the center with these two. So I'm going to have at the center now, I will have at the center n squared minus n minus 14n plus 14 is equal to 0. Then I now pair them together, the first two together and the last two together with their sign. That means we are now going to have n squared minus n. You pair them together. Then we consider these two. Minus 14n plus 14 is equal to 0. Then we now look at what is common to both brackets. If you look at this first one, n is common. Move the n out. That means we are going to have n into, that will give us n minus 1. If you divide it by this, n squared divided by n divided by n, 1. What is common to this one too? Check very well. It's minus 14. So you can now divide. This one divided by minus 14, we have n. Then plus divided by minus will give us minus. 14 divided by 14 will give us 1. That will give us 0. So our n now, you can see in the two brackets we have the same thing, and they must be the same, of course. That means we are going to pick one of the brackets, and we can now consider this n and minus 14. So our answer now will now be n minus 1 into n minus 14 is equal to 0. So I can now equate both brackets to 0. This now implies that n minus 1 is equal to 0. That means n is equal to 1. N removed there, it will be 0 plus 1. Then the next one I have, n minus 14 is equal to 0. So I have n now will now be 14. So as you can see, the value of my n will now be 1 and 14. We are even lucky that the two of them are both positive. So since the two of them are positive, we go with the two of them. So this, the value of our n now will now be 1 and 14. We have come to the end of the solution of this particular question. We are going to stop here for now. Then next time, in our next episode, we take it off from there. God bless you. God bless me. Take care.